Kara Shalom, welcome to our watercolor journey. There's a reason why you should use warm and cool colors in your paintings. We decided to do a little experiment. So this painting was originally done entirely in cool colors. Stick around to find out what happened when mid-tone and then warm colors were introduced. The materials used are listed in the description below. On the palette, we have a set of cool primary colors: Alizarin Crimson, Prussian Blue, and Lemon Yellow. Notice how muted the premixes are as well, and how interesting the combinations are. Even if you use the same base colors, the mixes change when you add more of one or the other color. So play around and create some magic there. So let's start. Wet the entire paper with a large brush like a mop or a hake. Add some pure Prussian blue to the top of the sky area. Then rinse the brush thoroughly and add some of the orange mix made from alizarin crimson and lemon yellow. Rinse the brush again and add some of the light brown mix to the foreground. Then darken some areas with a purple premix. Add some of the greens to the foreground to bring a little bit of variation to the brown base colors. You can also add a touch of red to the foreground to make it a bit brighter. Use a hairdryer to dry the background a little bit. Don't dry the paper completely, just enough so that it's still a bit damp. Now use the purple and add a tree line on the left. The paper is damp, so there will be soft and hard edges. Add a few colors from the palette for variation. It is interesting to note that so far, the painting does not have a lot of depth. This is mainly because of all the cool colors. There's nothing that really pushes the terrain or the elements to the front. The only difference you can see is between the soft and the hard edges, which give you a little bit of variation, but other than that, the painting still seems flat. So let it dry completely. Now that it's dry, the colors are even more muted. There's a little variety in the foreground, but the tree line in the middle seems to just sit there. Add the tree on the right by using the orange and the brown mixes. Use the belly of the brush to add the foliage. It will make hard lines, but if you have enough paint on the brush, the foliage will look dense. Add a bit of the darker colors closer to the middle for shadows. Continue to build the tree in this way, but use a bit more water on the right. Then add some greens and purples to the right side. This will help to create variation and give your tree a bit more dimension. You won't get natural dimension because all the colors are cool. So you have to work with the soft and hard edges to create the illusion of a rounded tree. Add some of the purple and greens to the foreground to make the terrain a bit more interesting. Add a touch of red to the left to bring that area a bit more forward. This will help to push the tree slightly backwards. Once the foliage has dried a bit, you can add a few broken lines with a rigger or a thin brush to resemble branches in the tree. Add a few darker lines to define the terrain a bit more. All these lines will help to push the tree line on the left a bit backwards as well. Now add the tree to the left. The darker paint will help to bring this tree more forward. Extend the branches a bit so that they are slightly above the tree line in the back. Use the belly of the brush to add touches of orange and red as foliage. The orange is slightly warmer than the cool tree line in the back, so that will help to make it stand out a bit more. You can also add touches of orange to the tree on the right. This view of the painting was done entirely with cool colors, and it seems very difficult to really achieve a sense of depth in it. The cool colors stay muted, and some even give an almost metallic effect to the trees. After the painting had dried completely, Heinrich added a layer of mid-tone colors to the foreground, which he mixed from mid-tone primaries. Then he made a third layer with the warm primaries. You can see that the moment that the warmer colors were added, it makes the painting more interesting. It gives it more depth. It makes it look like it's alive. So, the conclusion of the experiment is that it is possible to paint entirely with cool colors, but it's a lot more fun to work with warm and cool colors. Don't limit yourself to just one set of primaries. It is really worth it to invest in at least a set of cool and warm primaries if you want to just use primaries. If you had made a similar experiment, let us know in the comments what your outcomes were. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope to see you again soon. Vaya con Dios.